How's it going, everybody? Vikings fans and Purple Code fans. Welcome back to SKOL Spotlight. Week 16 already, which is pretty nuts that we're already that far into the season. Feels like the season's gone by in the blink of an eye. Minnesota Vikings coming off a historical victory at home, locking up the division against the Indianapolis Colts. Now we got to move on quickly to the winter whiteout game, US Bank Stadium, Saturday, Christmas Eve. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what that field's going to look like. The stadium's going to be rocking. People are going to brave the snow and the cold, get to that football game. Yeah, man. It's going to be a fun one.
I'm excited to see how the Vikings respond after coming back.
Yeah.
After a game like that.
It didn't go so well.
Yeah, last time it didn't go so well. I know, we won our division. We've clinched playoffs. So I know we're still fighting for the number 2 seed. I hope we come out still knowing that we're fighting for that number 2 seed. We see that. But also, I am interested to see like a win like that, a comeback like that, a game like that, a historical game, the greatest comeback in NFL history. You think that could change like some momentum or something in that whole locker room? So I'm interested to see if the Vikings come out swinging after something like that. I mean, that's got to bring you tons of extra momentum. At least I'm hoping this every single week that we see one of these games where we just come up and beat a team. And I'm hoping that could be the thing. It might take that. This is that season where it could have taken the greatest comeback in NFL history for us to gain extra momentum to actually win a game outright. So hopefully this is the one. So I'm banking on that.
For sure. Let's hope so. But before we get into the spotlight portion of this, take a second here. Thank the Purple Code sponsors, Rinoli's Pizza, as well as Nautical Bowls. Make sure to check both of those out. Located in Woodbury, Minnesota, which is where I live now. Cool place. Cool stuff. Make sure to check it out. All right. Get into the game here. So for our spotlight, we feel like looking at, I know you were kind of running me through some of the PFF grades here. Their coverage, their pass coverage is pretty weak. What did you say that grade was again?
It's a 46.3, which is the worst in the NFL. So their coverage game is the absolute worst in the NFL, according to PFF. However you feel about that. But.
And luckily for the receiver core, the pass catcher core, even the running backs, we have a quarterback that's absolutely been slinging it these last couple weeks. Kirk Cousins has almost 900 yards in 2 games. Pretty insane. He's been dynamite, which only helps the pass catchers. The guy in our spotlight here, there's been a guy that we thought was going to make a bigger impact earlier on this season. He hasn't been as consistent as we were thinking. But this last game, I'm going to give it away here. Basically, this guy had a career game, just destroyed that Indianapolis Colts defense, really willed this team to a win with 154 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, man, it was impressive to see what this guy did. What were your thoughts?
Dude, yeah. I mean, he's pretty much been the player that we had higher expectations of coming into the season, and we just haven't seen it. Is it his fault completely? Game plan? Who knows? All we know is this last game, we saw what he can do. And if he can keep that momentum, this is a big reason why this guy's our spotlight, because if we can see, if he drives that, if him by himself, we talked about all this momentum after that game coming in, if this one player can feed off of that momentum and continue to play the way he did in that last game, would be the worlds of difference for this team. And it would, he would become the player that we thought he was going to be. And honestly, potentially a wide receiver too, especially if he keeps doing that. One thing for sure, what I do like about him is he's such a good player just to get the ball in his hands, because he's always moving forward at least like 5 yards. It doesn't matter if it's like 2 or 3 people in front of him. So, I mean, the spotlight this week is a guy that we're just not hoping we see step up again this week, but step up for the rest of the season, and it could make the world of a difference.
And that player, of course, is KJ Osborne. So obviously, me and Jamie kind of had him pegged as a breakout player this year. I was really hoping he would step into that number 2 wide receiver role. Hasn't really done that consistently yet, but what he did this last week was fantastic. Against like you said, against a pretty porous pass defense. Where obviously Justin Jefferson is gonna get some double coverage. You still got Adam Thielen out there as well, so KJ could be set up for another ginormous game here. You never know, and especially Kirk seeing the confidence that built last week. Maybe maybe that was the game that finally is going to kickstart KJ Osborne's career.
Yeah, I mean, it could
turn him into that guy we thought we were going to see.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, we might have to make plays for him. I mean, he's earned that one game could have earned him specific plays made for him. And that by itself can change everything for him. So
yeah, I mean, hasn't Kirk? There's been 2 seasons where he ran, or 2 games a season where he ran that same route, right? Kind of like that one where he goes out and then cuts out to the pylon. That out route into the end zone. I think he's ran that a couple times this season. I think Kirk has thrown him touchdowns on 2 of them. Hard throw to make, but Kirk's got an arm on him. Fantastic thrower. As we were kind of talking about it on when we were recording our podcast episode for our channel, is that the Giants kind of have that bend but don't break mentality, where they're both like PFF graded them in the 40s in both coverage, in pass coverage as well as run coverage, but yet they're like middle of the league in scoring.
Yeah,
on defense.
Yep.
So, I mean, who knows how the scoring is going to go in this game? I mean, I think it'll still get up there decently, but overall, they're kind of similar to what we are on defense, like that bend but don't break. Inconsistent pass rush. Hopefully this week we see the Vikings finally brought pressure last week. Hopefully we see more of that this week. Keep going on, but yeah, man, I think our offense has a chance against a team that doesn't intercept the ball much. Our offense has a real shot here. I mean, obviously defensively they got some pieces back there. Cornerback wise, neither of their 2 starting quarterbacks have interceptions. A couple of their 2 starting safeties have a few between them, but Kayvon Thibodeau, the rookie out of Oregon's having a solid year so far. Leonard Williams is there. Dexter Lawrence is there. So it's they have pieces on that defense, but definitely put up some yards on them.
Yeah, and it's not even the talent on their team, because their talent on their team is just not that great. Their wide receivers are pretty shitty, and we've talked about going up against the Patriots, and we were talking about how bad their wide receivers are and stuff. And I honestly don't think that the Giants have a much better offense than the Patriots. But of course, the Patriots still made Mac Jones look like Tom Brady, and Mac Jones still threw all over us. So hopefully we don't allow that to happen again. But I mean, what it really comes down with, even though they don't have the best talent, it's Duval, man. Their new head coach, he has them at, what do you say, 8-6-1? Has them at 8-6-1, I think. 8-5-1 record. With the talent they have, it's whatever they have for talent.
A lot of injuries on the team.
Okay, and Duval's just been learning. He just knows how to use the talent in right ways, and the players that he does have in the correct ways, obviously. So even though I think on paper, talent-wise, I think we're far above them. On defense, we definitely have a worse defense scoring-wise and stuff. But based on talent, like I'd pick our talent on defense every single day, and our offense not even close. So it seems like a game we should just be able to dominate.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the big thing with them.
Dominating against them.
The key to stopping their offense is stop Saquon Barkley. He's having a resurgent year. I think like 1,100 yards rushing so far this season and 9 touchdowns. So that's really the key to this offense. Daniel Jones is playing just well enough to keep them afloat in the passing game. But obviously receivers, they're pretty banged up at the top receivers. Darius Slayton right now to go along with Kenny Golladay doesn't even play anymore. Daniel Bellinger, the rookie tight end, is having a solid season. But a lot of no names on that receiving core to people outside of the Giants fans. So, really just stop Saquon Barkley and, get some pressure on Daniel Jones. Keep being aggressive. Get some pressure up there and kind of see what you can do. So, but yeah, I think this will be a game the Vikings should win. I'm excited to see what that atmosphere is going to be like with the whiteout thing. So, how are we going to some score predictions?
Score predictions. So I'm going to go high scoring here. I do think it's going to be high scoring, mostly because we just seem to either we're going to come out swinging from that momentum coming from the last game, or we're just going to score a bunch of points outright. Or it's just going to be another stupid game where Giants somehow scores a bunch of points of us and we just keep up. So I'm going to go high scoring because that's just what we do. And I'm going to say 35-28 Vikings, of course.
Okay. I'm going to go more modest. I'm going to go 27-21. But yeah, I think Vikings pull out the win, get to 12 wins, 1 win away from where I predicted they would be when the season started. People laughed at me when I said 13-4, but look at us now. Already 11-3.
People laughed at me when I said undefeated. They still kind of laugh at me. But hey, I was closer than some of these other people.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of other people
didn't actually think they're going to go undefeated. Next year, though, I think they will.
Anyway, that's that. That's what we think of our game. Let's check out some of the other games and put together a DraftKings lineup for this weekend.
Let's do it. So I don't know if this is for Saturday and Sunday. It's kind of weird. I think Sunday, is there only one game or is there like two games on Sundays?
I think there's three. I think they kind of
three
flip-flop
games.
the schedule for this week.
So let me actually look at this. Does it tell us what games these are? So it does look like these are all Saturday games. So it's so weird. Do they usually? Is it because of Christmas? Probably.
I
why
believe
they
it's
have so
because
many
of
games?
Christmas. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
They're kind of stealing Christmas from the NBA by putting football on Christmas Day.
Just snatching their views,
Mhm.
right? They want it all. They want Thanksgiving and Christmas now.
Exactly.
NBA is gonna be pissed. Adam Silver's gonna be pissed. Next celebrity boxing match, Adam Silver versus
Roger Goodell.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. All right. Anyways, so like I usually like to do, go for high scoring games, which I think there's three right off the bat. One I think is going to be the highest scoring for sure, and that's going to be Seattle, Kansas City. We're talking about expensive players though. So it's like I can only do so much of that. I think the Giants in Minnesota, I think that's going to be another high scoring games, man. Minnesota, us Vikings, we put up points in almost every single game lately. They've been one of the highest scoring. And then I think the other one would be Philly versus Dallas, especially if Hurts plays, maybe not as much as Minshew plays. But that being said, I don't think Hurts is going to play. And I want to start with the quarterback just because he is such a good deal in this division rival game with a lot of talent around him. And I think we should try picking Gardner Minshew. And if Hurts ends up in the game, obviously we're going to have to change that. But 4,800 for a quarterback that's backing the Eagles in a division game where, the number one seed still is technically on the line.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good value there.
For sure. I'm a fan of that.
We'll have to see. What else are we thinking? Running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, flex, defense. Where should we go next?
Let's look at some defenses. I don't know. I like the defenses out of the way early because I never really know what to do there.
The one that stands out to me, kind of, because we always go cheap on defense. We know that. And we might have to change defense depending on, I like to pick defense, or I pick defenses early. And then, if you have to save a couple $100 in one spot, sometimes I'll just like downgrade my defense. Sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't. But the one that's obvious to me right off the bat would be Washington at San Francisco. I just think San Francisco has been scoring pretty well lately. And the addition to CMC has been crazy for them. But still, like, they just don't really seem like they have a super high power offense. If Purdy keeps doing what he's doing, then yeah. But for this cheap, otherwise, the other one that I would think of doing would be Philly's defense versus Dallas.
Interesting. Why is that?
The
Dallas offense kind of high powered.
So that the Dallas offense is high powered, but Philly's has a really good defense. I mean, what is Philly's defense ranking? I don't know. They're up there. I can even look on PFF real quick. Let's see here. Their defense is number 3 in the NFL. So, I mean, they just have a really good defense. I think this game could be high scoring, but it also could be kind of low scoring. So I guess that's the reason why I would go Eagles defense, especially unless you wanted to go a higher price for these like cheap teams, because otherwise the Bears against Buffalo, no. Seattle versus Kansas City, no. Philly versus Dallas, I would rather not, but I'd take a chance on Philly's defense against any team compared to any of these. Carolina versus Detroit, no. Washington versus San Francisco, I like that for that price. Houston versus Tennessee, that could be a good one too if Ryan Tannehill is out for the season, I think. So Malik Willis, depending on how he does. Dallas is versus Philly against Minshew would be good, I guess. But I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, let's just toss. I mean, I don't know.
We're just going cheap. We're not banking our points on it. We just
true.
need them to not go negative when we do this.
I could toss Eagles in there then if that's what you're thinking.
We'll run with them. Maybe if we have extra money, we'll switch it out or something.
Yeah.
And then who knows if Hurts ends up playing, then we have to change up a lot of things. All right, so we got our defense. Figured that out. Let's go into, I guess, let's go into some wide receivers because let's see what we got here for. I know we have Minshew. Minshew is the type of player where he is just so cheap. Like, I don't feel like I need to pick his wide receivers. I don't think I need to do all of that. I just think his price to what he can score for points is really good. So I'm not going to like have to pick wide receivers. But some steals that I like right away. I know we have Eagles defense. Let me do this steal right away. I know we have Eagles defense, which doesn't make tons of sense, but it's a cheap guy. So if he does anything, it will be really nice. And that is, let me just put it in here. Noah Brown. Noah Brown, which is questionable too. But if you look at his last games, 6 receptions, 9 targets, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. The game before, 6 targets, 4 catches for 85 yards. He's been being used a lot again, and it's kind of like he's almost starting to get like past Gallup in the lineup there. So I like him for just the value.
Sure. I'm a fan. Let's see, what else are we looking at?
I mean, if we stay for wide receiver, so I mean, I mentioned before that I do think the Kansas City game and the Seattle game is going to be the highest scoring game in this entire thing. So I do want to pick players from that game. I wish I want Mahomes, but he costs like $8,000. He's super expensive. Maybe I put him in and switch some other things around if Minshew doesn't play. But so far, Patrick Mahomes, number 1 target. I don't know if has been hurt lately. I don't know, but is Juju. And I think Juju makes really good value. Let's see how he's been doing. So week 15.
Catch every ball.
Oh, yeah.
Last week.
Yeah, so
17,
for that price,
22.
dang, targets, receptions. So he's getting targeted a lot. And he costs $5,800. That seems super cheap to me. So I like him for value right there.
Okay, I'm a fan.
And then the other guy I like is on the other side of the ball, and that is DK Metcalf, who has been going crazy. And obviously, Seattle's going to have no choice but to keep up with Kansas City's high-power offense. So I do like DK in this spot.
Yeah, I had DK on a regular fantasy team, and he did pretty well all season.
I need him to step up. He's a steal. He's one of the steals of the drafts, of people's drafts for sure.
It didn't look like it to start. He had a couple slow weeks to start, but then once Geno finally got accustomed to that offense.
Right.
Sure.
So we already got our flex wide receivers in. I would love I also said I think the Vikings are going to score a lot. I would love to put Justin Jefferson in there. We got our wide receivers filled so far. I think Justin he could end up being the top receiver. But I'm going to have to go with my guy this week, and that's Delvin Cook at 7,200 is still a really good price from him. And he's been putting up points every single week of late. Last week, I think he had like 30 something fantasy points, obviously. So I think he's a really good price there against the Giants defense that I don't think's going to be able to stop him a lot. And we've just been using Delvin Cook more and more as the season's gone on. So I do like him there.
You know how I feel with Delvin Cook, but it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, you've been wrong.
Kidding. It sounds like I'm a Delvin Cook hater.
He's been wrong about it.
I'm really not a Delvin Cook hater. I mean, I like Delvin.
Like, I understand paying running backs thing does make sense, but I still think Delvin Cook's a stud. Yeah. So let's go to. So, I said Washington has a good defense for the most part or whatever. San Francisco doesn't always score a lot. Ever since CMC got there, but ever since CMC has gotten there, especially of lately, he's been going crazy.
Yeah.
From back here, 8 receptions, 10 targets, 80 yards. Next week, he only had 2 receptions, 34 yards. The rushing yards are crazy. 14 attempts, 119, but now it's even higher. 26 attempts, 108-yard touchdown, 6 receptions for 30 yards. He's back to being the number 1 fantasy player entire NFL. And I think he's going to hold up. I think they need to rely on him at this point because Debo's hurt, right?
Yeah.
I believe Debo's hurt.
He'll be out for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, out of the regular season. They got a rookie quarterback in there. I think CMC is going to be continued to use a lot. We got some money here. We're going to have to go cheaper after this, but I do like that. Yeah. Our running backs are stacked this week. I don't think we're
How
going to
do
be
we put together an entire lineup with no Vikings players? It almost feels. Oh, we have Delvin.
We
What
do.
am I
We have
talking
Devin
about? It
Cook.
almost feels
We
dirty.
have Devin Cook. We'll see. I mean, I was thinking, someone we could go for, because we could go for like a KJ Osborne. Am I convinced that he's going to 100? I want him to come back and continue playing like that. Do I think he for sure is going to? I don't know. And I'd like to put Thielen in there too, but I don't even know if it's all of Thielen's fault, but he just doesn't seem
The
to
roller
get the
coaster
ball
this year.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even his fault. He just doesn't get to see his ball. Because I know last week he got all pissed off that hey, throw the ball to me or whatever, and then all of a sudden he gets a big catch and then he scores a touchdown. So maybe it isn't all his fault, but still inconsistency there. A guy that at least, the very least, I can rely on getting targets and catches ever since he's became a Viking, and that is Mr. TJ Hawkinson. 9 targets the targets, absolutely. Only 3 receptions last week, but 9 targets, 8 targets the week before. I mean, for a tight end, these are fantastic. Hopefully, I do think there's a good chance he scores a touchdown this week. I'm down to put him in there if you want to put another Viking in there.
Let's take him.
Which leaves us with 5,600. Stay in the flex. Let's see what we can get there.
Top player.
I'd almost like Chico or whatever. Both of those, if they were still there.
Mark Andrews? Wow. Andrews has been kind of whatever since he got hurt.
Yeah. Plus, they don't have Lamar either. Swift's up and down. DJ Moore. So he's an interesting one here. Because he wasn't doing much, but last week
caught a touchdown. 2 weeks ago, he had a big game.
I think with Sam Darnold, he didn't have some attempts that week before. With Sam Darnold,
he's going against a weak defense in Detroit.
Right. And the last time we picked him when he was this cheap, he ended up being one of the biggest wide receivers that week. So I would take a shot at him. I would say either that or go on the other side and take a shot at Swift.
Neither of them are super consistent, but
against
I would say let's toss DJ Moore in there.
Against the 31st worst. That's the thing. You're against Detroit, the 31st worst defense against the coverage, and there's a team that scores a shit ton of points. So I think DJ Moore is going to be used a lot in this game. I do think he's a sleeper wide receiver.
Yeah.
So there we go. Let's see. Let's go back here. Can we afford anybody else? No. Panthers. So I guess we stick with the Eagles here.
Yeah, I would say so.
If we had one more 100, I think I go Washington, but
yeah. I say let's lock that in. Call it a lineup.
We might have to change some stuff like always, but
yeah, we'll see. But anyway, hopefully win some money there. Hopefully the Vikings win on Christmas Eve. We can all have a Merry Christmas after that. I think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm excited to see the whole winter whiteout thing. I think the stadium's going to be rocking. Hopefully Kirk and the offense keep rolling. JJ and all them defensively keep showing those market improvements, and I think we're going to come out with a win. 12-3. It's going to feel pretty good.
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Thanks, guys, for joining. See everybody next week on SKOL Spotlight.